In question number 4, it says that solve each equations x in radians and theta in degree for all exact solutions where appropriate. Round approximate answers in radians to 4 decimal places and approximate answer in degrees to the nearest tenth. Write answer using the least possible non-negative angle measures. So let's start. Question number 4, part A. So here we will write the question. Cos of theta plus 1 is equals to 0. So cos of theta is equals to negative 1. So we'll take basic angle. So cos inverse of 1, that would be 0 degree. So we know that the cos would be negative in the quadrant number 2 and in the quadrant number 3. So in the second quadrant, we will write theta is equals to 180 minus alpha. So that would be 180 minus 0 is equals to 180 degree. In third quadrant, the theta would be 180 plus alpha. So 180 plus 0 is equals to 180 degree. Now in part B, we have 3 secant x minus 2 times root 3 equals to 3. Now the angle is in x form. So whenever it is in x form, we can give our answer in exact solution, or we will round it off into 4 decimal places. So let's start now. So first of all, I will write the question. That is 3 secant x minus 2 root 3 is equals to 3. In the next step, I will shift this on the other side. So we will add them. So 3 secant x is equal to 3 plus 2 times root 3. Now we will divide the value by 3. So here we divided. Now we know that the secant x would be equals to 1 over cos x. So we will put the formula. That would be 3 plus 2 times root 3 over 3. Now we will reciprocate. So we will write cos x is equals to 3 divided by 3 plus 2 times root 3. Now I will take the inverse of cos to find the basic angle. So cos inverse would become 3 over 3 plus 2 times root 3. Now I would use the calculator to find the cos inverse. So here you can see our cos inverse value. That would be 1.0882. Let me write. This is our alpha value. Now we know that the cos is positive in the first and the fourth quadrant. So due to that reason, we will find the angles. So in first quadrant, it would be remain as it is. So our x would become equals to alpha. So that would be 1.0882. And for the fourth quadrant, we have x is equals to 2 pi minus alpha. So 2 pi value would be 6.2. 2832 minus 1.0882. We will subtract. So our final answer would be 5.1950 radians. So move to the next. In C part, we have a quadratic equation in terms of sine theta. So 6 sine square theta plus sine theta is equals to 1. I will rearrange it. Minus 1 is equals to 0. Now I will use the calculator to factorize it, or other way around you can make the factors as well by breaking the middle term. So here you can see our A value is 6, B value is 1, and C value is -1. Now I will press the mod, number 5 for equations and number 3 for the quadratic equations. So first of all I will put the 6, then equal, then 1 again equal, then -1 again equal. So the first answer I have, that is sine of theta would be equals to 1 over 3, and the next answer is sine of theta is equals to -1 over 2. Okay, now we will simplify for it. The next step, we will find the basic angle for this in term of theta. So let's start. So now we will find basic angle. So alpha would be equals to sine inverse of 1 by 3, and here we have alpha is equals to sine inverse of 1 divided by 2. So here sine is positive, so we will find the answer in first and the second quadrant, and here sine is negative, so we will find the answer in the third and the fourth quadrant. So let's see the solution. So we'll take sine inverse of 1 over 3. Our answer is 19.5. So I already told you the sign is positive in the quadrant number 1 and the quadrant number 2. So in the quadrant number 1, our x value is equals to alpha. So the first answer would be 19.5 degree. But for the second quadrant, we know that we will subtract the answer from 180 degree. So 180 minus 19.5, that would become 160.5 degree. That is our final answer. Now we'll take sine inverse of half. That would become exact answer 30 degree. So we know that the 30 degree and sine is negative in the third and the fourth quadrant. So we will write the third and the fourth quadrant. So in third quadrant, we know that theta would be equals to 180 degree plus 30 degree. So that would become 210 degree, and here the theta would be 360 degree minus the basic angle alpha, that is 30 degree. So the answer would become in that case 330 degree. Move to the next part. In next part we have also a quadratic equation. 2 cos square x plus cos of x minus 1 is equals to 0. Now we will solve it by using the calculator. So this is my A value, this is my B value, this is my C value. Now I will take the calculator to simplify it. Okay, so we'll press mod, then 5, then 3. So A value is 2, B value is 1, C value is -1. So my first answer would be 1 over 2. So I would write cos of x is equals to 1 over 2. And now my second answer would be cos of x is equals to -1. So these are my two possible answers. Now we will find the basic angles to simplify. So the first of all we will find the alpha, that would be cos inverse of 1 over 2, and we know that cos inverse 1 over 2, the exact value would become pi by 3 in that case. So our alpha value would become pi by 3. For the next thing, we will find again alpha for cos inverse of 1. So we know that our alpha would become 0 in that case. 0 radians. Now we'll use this information to find the next quadrants. We know that the cos is positive. So the cos would be positive in the quadrant number 1 and the quadrant number 4. And the cos would be negative in the quadrant number 2 and 3. Let's solve for alpha pi by 3 when we have cos of positive half. So we have cos x is equals to positive half. So our basic angle would become pi by 3. I told you before the cos is positive, so the cos would be positive in the quadrant number 1 and the quadrant number 4. So in the quadrant number 1 we will write x would be equals to alpha, that would be remain as it is pi by 3, but for the fourth quadrant we have 2 pi minus alpha. It means 2 pi minus pi by 3, that would become 5 pi by 3. Now we will solve for the second function. Okay, now we know that the cos is negative in the quadrant number 2 and the quadrant number 3. So for the quadrant number 2 we will write x is equals to pi minus alpha. So that would be pi minus 0 is equals to pi. For the third quadrant we have pi plus alpha. So that would be pi plus 0 is equals to pi. So we got the two possible answers. Now move to the next part. Now in this part we have sine theta into cos theta minus cos of theta is equals to 0. Now we will take cos theta as in common. So we have sine of theta minus 1 is equals to 0. Now we will write cos of theta is equals to 0 and sine of theta minus 1 is equals to 0. Now we will find the basic angle for it. So alpha would become cos inverse of 0, and here we have sine theta is equals to 1, and now alpha would be equals to sine inverse of 1. We know that alpha would become 90 degree, and here alpha would also come 90 degree. We know that the cos is positive in the first and the fourth quadrant, and the sine is positive in the first and the second quadrant. So I will write the first and the fourth quadrant. For the first quadrant, we know that theta would be equals to alpha, that would be remain 90 degree. And for the fourth quadrant, we have 360 degree minus 90 degree, that would become 27 degree. So 270 is the answer. Now we will do the other part. We know that the sine is positive in the first and the second quadrant. So this is my first and here is my second quad. So in first quadrant we know that theta would be remain equals to alpha, so that would be 90 degree. And for the second quadrant we will subtract the alpha from 180, so that would become 180 minus 90 degree, that would be equals to 90 degree. Now move to the next part. Here we will simplify the equations first. So we'll write sine of x times 3 times sine x minus 1 is equals to 1. So we'll multiply. We have 3 sine square x minus sine x is equals to 1. Again value rearrange. Now in this we have a form of quadratic equation. So this is my a value, minus 1 is my b value, and minus 1 is my c value as it is. Now I will use the calculator to make factor of it. So now we will press mod button, then 5, then 3. So here you can see the value is 3 for a. So the first value would be 3, the second would be -1, and the third would be also -1. So my first answer, the x1, that would be, or sine of x. So my first sine of x value would become 1 plus root 13 divided by 6, or if I want to convert into decimal, so I would click on this button, so that would be 0.7676. And now I will find the second value, and my second value would become 1 minus root 13 divided by 6, and in calculator we will turn decimal, that would be minus 0.4343. Let me write it. So sine of x is equals to 1 minus root 13 divided by 6, that would be equals to minus 0.4343. So now we will simplify both functions. So first of all, we will simplify this functions for sine of 0.7676. We know that the sine is positive here, and the sine positive will lie in the first and the second quadrant. So let's simplify. Now we will find the basic angle alpha. We will write sine inverse of 0.7676. So I will use the calculator to simplify. So here we have 0.8751. So our alpha value would become 0.8751. Now we know that our sine is lying in the first and the second quad. So for the first and the second quadrant, we will write, so that would be x is equals to alpha is equal to 0.8751, and for the second quadrant we will subtract from pi, so pi minus 0.8751. So the other answer would be 2.2665. Now we will solve the negative value. Now we will find the basic angle alpha for it. We will write sine inverse of 0.4343. So we'll use the calculator to find sine inverse. So here we have 0.4493. We know that the sine is negative in the second and third and fourth quadrant. So I will write the answers over there. So here we have third quadrant, here we have fourth quadrant. So for third quadrant we will write x is equals to pi plus 0.4493, and for the fourth quadrant we will write 2 pi minus 0.4493. Now we will calculate. So here we will write pi plus 0.4493. The answer would become 3.5909. So the next would be 2 shift with pi. So in decimal 6.2832, then we subtract 0.4493. Now the second answer we have 5.8339. So that would be our second answer. So now move to the next part. Now we will rearrange the g part first. So we have 5 plus 5 tan square x is equals to 6 secant x. We will take 5 as in common, so we have 1 plus tan square x is equals to 6 secant of x. Now 1 plus tan square is the secant square x is equals to 6 secant x. We will write 5 secant square x minus 6 secant x is equals to 0. Now I will take secant x as in common. So secant x taken as in common. So we have 5 secant x minus 6 is equals to 0. So now my first factor secant x is equals to 0, and my second factor would be 5 secant x minus 6 is equals to 0. I will change the secant x into cos x by taking the function 1 over cos x. Now I will reciprocal it. So cos x would become 0. So same thing would be 5 secant x is equals to 6. Secant x is equals to 6 by 5. So that would be 1 over cos x. Now I will take the reciprocal to write the answer. So cos x would be equals to 5 by 6. Now we will simplify. So now we will find the basic angle. So cos inverse of 0, and that would become pi by 2. So we know that the cos is positive in the quadrant number 1 and the quadrant number 4. So for that purpose I will write x is equals to alpha is equals to pi by 2, and here we have 2 pi minus alpha, so that would be 2 pi minus pi by 2, that would become 3 pi over 2. Now we'll solve the other part. Now we'll find the basic angle. So cos inverse of 5 pi by 6, so that would be 0.5857. Now we know that the cos is positive again in the quadrant number 1 and the quadrant number 4. So in the quadrant number 1, our x would become equals to alpha, so that would be 0.5857. And the next, for the fourth quadrant, we have x is equals to 2 pi minus 0.5857. So find it. 2 pi minus 0.5857. So that would become 5.6975. That is our next part. In each part, first of all, we will rearrange the value. So we will multiply this 3 plus tan square theta by 1 on the other side. So 2 tan theta is equal to 3 minus tan square theta. Now we will shift this value on the left side. So negative tan square theta would become positive tan square theta, plus 2 tan theta would be written as it is, and this plus 3 would become minus 3 is equals to 0. Now it looks like a quadratic equation form. So I will factorize it. Let me rewrite it. Now I will use the calculator to make the factor. So A is 1, B is 2, and C value is minus 3. So now I will put the values 1, 2, then minus 3. My first answer for tan theta, that would be equals to 1. The second answer for tan theta, that would be equals to minus 3. Now I will simplify both functions. So we need to find the basic angles. So alpha is equals to tan inverse of 1, and we know that that would become pi by 4. Sorry, here we will write in degree. That is 45 degree. That is my alpha, and we know that the tan is positive in the quadrant number 1 and the quadrant number 3. So we will find the values. So now in the first quadrant and the third quadrant, so that would become theta is equals to alpha, that would become 45 degree, and here we have theta is equals to all other half. So now we will find the basic angle. So tan inverse of 3, so we'll use the calculator. So tan inverse of 3 is 71.6 degree. We will write it nearest tenth. Now we know that the tan is negative in the quadrant number 2 and the quadrant number 4. So in quadrant number 2 we have theta is equals to 180 minus alpha. So that would be 180 degree minus 71.6 degree. And for fourth quadrant we have 360 degree minus alpha. So that would become 360 degree minus 71.6 degree. So we'll calculate now. So we'll write 180 minus 71.6, and that would be 108.4. And the next one is 360 minus 71.6, that would become 288.4. That's it. Thank you very much.